I'm Jenny Bergen, and welcome to Everything Jenny podcast about everything Jenny, art, knitting, crafting, crochet, a little bit of music, so just kind of wherever the wind takes me. This week, I want to thank my returning viewers and thank any new viewers. Thanks for stopping by this week and spending a little time with me. I do have a Ravelry, Instagram, Facebook, and Etsy shop that are all under Everything Jenny. And I have a website that is everythingjenny.com. And my blog is at everythingjenny.wordpress.com. So you can reach me at any of those places. And I would love for you to join our Ravelry group where we're going to be having some interesting knit-alongs and some prizes for that. And so it's going to be coming up, and so you should look forward to that. I know today you can see I'm filming on location again. I'm out camping with my girlfriends, and I've brought Biscuit along, so he's decided to hang out with me this morning. And you can see I have my trailer in the background. It's a 1960 Aristocrat Little Loafer, and it's big enough for two, but really one is perfect, two is okay. You get any more in there and it's just too crammed. So I will at some point post some pictures of it, and I don't know if I'll get any done this weekend. It's been kind of a busy weekend with hanging out and crafting with people, and so but this week I have a very short podcast for you. I have a few things I'm working on, but no finished no finished objects. But I did want to at least record and stay on track for you. So this week, like I said, I've been ramping up for camping. So I'm getting all of my stuff together and I'm trying to decide on projects to take. And I knew I was going to want a podcast on this trip. And so I had to bring a little bit extra so that I had stuff to share with you instead of maybe just bringing one project to work on. And so, but I camp quite frequently with my girlfriends, and we basically get out and just get away from everything, and we sit and we chat, and sometimes we craft, but it's an all women's group, and for the most part most of the trips are no men, no kids, no pets. But this one was not an official trip, so we just decided to get away and come. And so I thought I'd bring my car companion. My mom was supposed to come camping with me. I think I mentioned that last week. And she got sick, and so she couldn't make it. And so my little buddy decided to join me, and he's been having a blast. He's smelling everything out here. And so, but I feel very drawn to camping. Ever since I was a little girl, I have really, really been attracted to just getting away, and I'm not a fancy hotel person. I mean, I can enjoy it like everyone else, but it's not my main choice. If I have a choice, I'm going to take my little trailer or even my tent and just get out in nature and be just relaxed and listen to the birds chirp and listen to the crickets at night and see all the stars. It's amazing when you're not having any blockage from bright lights of the city. So I've always been an outdoor nature girl and definitely a gypsy soul. I love to travel. So you may see more podcasts while traveling, and I tend to record them on the weekends. So my traveling happens on the weekends most often, and so I'll probably be recording a lot more from my on locations. So this week, I do have some works in progress, and I have not made very much progress on my little coziest memories blanket, but I did get one more square done. So I'm now up to, let's see, 6 squares? And again, not a lot of progress, but I do have a lot of yarn for this project, so I really need to start stepping it up. I had wanted to do at least a square a night or every other night, and just with things going on this month, it's been way too busy, and I have not been able to meet that goal, and it's really disappointing for me. So I'm setting new goals for the next month, and I'm definitely going to get at least a square to 2 squares done a day. I mean, not a day, but every other day or every 3 days. But this week I did a unicorn tail. Biscuit, you're sitting on your leash. Okay, so this week I did a unicorn tail, and it's in the Whiskey Barrel colorway from Madeline Tosh. And here it looks a little gray flecks in there, but it's right next to another Madeline Tosh colorway from a unicorn tail. So this week I'm deciding what color I'm going to add next. I have a lot of spring kind of colors, and I did get those Star Wars colorways, so I'm not really sure which way I'm going to go, and if I'm going to put one of the thicker sock yarns here, or if I'm going to do one of the thinner ones. And so again, not a lot of progress on that. And with these, because I've chosen to use different types of yarn, it's really actually played out that the squares vary in size. Even though I knit consistently and I have my tension is the same, my gauge is the same, my needles have not changed, but there's definitely a difference in the yarns. And so even though it could be a fingering or a sock weight yarn, some are thicker, some are thinner, and some knit up larger and smaller depending on that yarn. Excuse me. So other than that, I have not made much progress on my socks, but I did want to show you how it starts the cabling. And on here, oh, my little magic loop is gone crazy. So last week I just had the toe, and this week I've not made, like I said, a lot of progress, but you can see here that I have the rest of the foot started, and just right here there is the cabling, and it's a little bit hard to see, but it does make kind of an X and an O as it goes up the foot, and that's going to continue up the foot and across the top of the foot, the up the leg. So, and then it'll have a cuff. So it's not that difficult. It does have where we use a cable needle in it, but you could probably get away without using the cable needle. And it just makes a left twist and a right twist, but they're not the twists that you would normally find if you Googled it or YouTubed it. It's not like the twist that you would find on there. So it's slightly different, but it's explained and it's easy to follow. And so, again, I'm not making much progress on my sock, but I'm not making much progress because I actually started the True Friend sweater that I said I was going to start. And so I got this going, and I started with the Madeline Tosh sock that I showed you in the antique lace colorway. And the pattern calls for a 32-inch circular, and you start with a 2.5, a US 2.5, 2.5, and then you move up to a US 4 for the needles. The beginning is a twisted rib, so you start with a twisted rib all along, and it's just all connected. You join it in the round, and then you start working the front by itself back and forth, and this is going to end up measuring, I believe for the size I chose, it's 12.25 inches from the end of the ribbing up to the end of where this will be. And this will be that front panel on the pattern. The only thing that I'm finding with this, the pattern has been easy to follow. It's easy to understand. It does have some short rows, things like that. So if you're not familiar with short rows, I would suggest, familiarizing yourself and maybe practicing a little bit just before you start. It's not that big of a deal, but just so that you're comfortable with it when the time comes. But my complaint is that as I cast on I believe I had to cast on 140 stitches, and with the little 2.5 needles, and then I'm working in the round, and using the 32-inch cable was too big. So I'm finding that it was stretching a lot as I'm trying to work with it. And even now, as I'm working just the back and forth, I have to constantly pull this out like a magic loop a little bit because it's such a long cable, and it shouldn't have to be that difficult. So I think if I were to start this over, I would definitely start with a 24-inch circular just to get going, and as I progressed, maybe then transfer to the 32. But it does say in the pattern a 32. So I started with that, but I was constantly afraid of all the stretching. It kept stretching out on me, and so I was not really a fan of that. So that would definitely be something that I would suggest changing. But otherwise, it's been knitting beautifully, and I've been working on it for a couple of days, just at small intervals, maybe 15 minutes there, 15 minutes there. So not very much progress, but definitely I'm liking where it's going. And at this point, it's into the easy back and forth stocking knit stitch. So it should go pretty quick for this panel. And then I know I start the back panel and then you pick up stitches. But I'm making some progress on that. And while I'm sitting and visiting at my trailer, I work on it. But when I go visit at other people's trailers, I'm not getting much done. So in addition to that, I believe like I said, I don't have any finished objects for you, but I do have some new yarn. I have a shawl that I'm going to do that's called the Multnomah shawl. It's a pattern I found on Ravelry. And it's done on the pattern in a beautiful green colorway. And it's based on a story of the woman was driving along, and as she's driving along, her husband's driving, and she's knitting, and she's working on this shawl pattern, and she needed a name, and she came up with Multnomah as they were driving through. So a few years ago, my husband and I were hiking on Christmas Day in the rain, and when we reached a certain elevation, it became snow. And we were hiking Multnomah Falls, and it was beautiful. And I needed something to remember that day by, and so I bought this new colorway. It's just this beautiful green colorway. And of course, here it's not looking as bright as it is, but it's pretty bright. And it's by Material Culture Fiber Arts. And it's called Sunlit Spruce is the colorway. And she had posted she was going to dye some DK weight. And I wanted some fingering weight to be able to do this particular shawl. So I sent her a message, and she said she would be dyeing some, and as soon as it was done, she'd let me know. And and again, I'm working on that other shawl with her yarn, and it's that bright white with blue, with purple, with pink, and it's looking gorgeous. And I wanted something else from that same yarn, and and she finished it, and she sent me pictures of two different ones, and you choose. And I said, oh gosh, I can't choose. Just send me the one that you think is the best one. And so that's what she sent. And she said she put little flecks of black in it. Excuse me. And so it's got these little flecks in here that are really hard to see on the camera, but they're gorgeous. And I think it's going to look beautiful when it's knit up into this shawl. So I'm excited to do that one. And then I did order online, and forgive me for not knowing exactly how to pronounce this name, but I believe it's Fido Designs. And this one is the Tofloro Oak colorway. And it's got all kinds of fun colors in there. And some like peachy reds, some greens, some cream, some brown and blue. And I got a sample of this different colorway, but the same yarn that I'd knit up in my Coziest Memories sock blanket. And I loved it. I loved working with it. I loved the texture. I loved how the colors came out. So I got online and found them online. And I ordered this, and it is a single ply fingering weight. It's 100% superwash merino wool. There are 399 yards or 100 grams, and it definitely says to hand wash, cool, and dry flat. So, the front design with the Fido Designs, the logo, says Old World Elegance for Modern Knitters. And so it was so cute. And I'm a total fan of this very bright blue striping thin there. I like that bright pop of color. Everything else seems kind of muted, and then there's this bright pop of blue. And as you can tell, I'm a bright pop of blue girl. Blue being my favorite color. So I am not sure what I'm going to make with it yet. I'm thinking maybe some socks. Not 100% sure yet, but I'll let you know as I make decisions on what I'm going to do with that. And then at home, I can't bring my sewing project with me, but I did make a little bit of progress with my dress that I had talked about last week. And so I'm hoping, again, by the end of this next week to have the dress done. And if it's not done, at least to the point of installing the zipper so that the top is attached to the bottom. And so I want to get that done. And then in addition, I've been working on a few, I've been working on copying other artists in museums. So I visit the museum and I'm working on just taking their images and trying to reproduce in just pencil their images, because I have a firm belief that in order for you to become a great artist, you really need to understand some of the masters. And so this week, I have to show you in my sketchbook. I just randomly work in my sketchbook on different things. And so I thought I would show you this week. This piece is at the Norton Simon and it's done in chalk. And I thought I would stand there and work on this particular piece just because there's something about it that draws me to create from something like that. And normally I'm drawn to those big oil paintings, and one of my favorite artists is Tiepolo for the big murals and paintings. I really enjoy those. Uh, but I've done Degas and Picasso, and not to reproduce for sale or for hanging on my walls, but just so that I can practice it in my sketchbook. And so this week, my goal was to just work on some copying of masters pieces. And then I know I need to really get going on my own. And I have a few in here in my sketchbook, but they're kind of sketches up to something I want to create in sewing. And so I haven't really been working on the fine art. And this week, when I left, I gave my husband opportunity by leaving to work this weekend on his painting. And I know I posted on Instagram when we did our trip to Big Bear that he spent time painting, and I posted a picture of him painting, but I didn't share the picture. And so that's the painting he's working on. And he's trying to get as much done as he can on it. And I told him when he's ready, I'm totally willing to share. So I will let you all know how that's going and what's coming with it. But this week, I've done plenty of portraits in pencil, but I'm feeling like I want to progress into trying some portraits in oil. I've done portraits in acrylic, and I've done portraits in pencil, colored pencil, and all kinds of things. But I want to give oil a try for portraits. I've used oil, but not really for portraits of people. I've used it for more of my whimsical art. And I love doing the whimsical art. There's just something fun and freeing about it. But the portraits tend to be something that create more of a intense, like people are really drawn to those things. But at the same time, it's a lot of work and it takes a lot of concentration and sometimes crosses over into the not as enjoyable phase for me. So I thought I'd start this week with just some more pencil drawings of realistic type work instead of the whimsical art this week. And so I'm planning to get more of that done and continue working in the realist style. And we'll see where that goes. And I will hopefully have some more things to share with you. And otherwise, I'm like I said, I'm going to work on my sewing this week. And I've been out camping, so I've had a lot of mostly visiting and just social hour of what crafts can we talk about. And I've watched a few gals have brought painting along, a few brought sewing. I brought knitting on this trip, but I have often brought my featherweight machine and I sew with that, or my bigger machine, and just work on fun projects. It's kind of like a little vacation, but yet you still get to do something fun and creative and crafty. So I'm hoping that next week I have more updates for you. And if I don't, then I might wait a week to post for you. I don't want to just waste time with I've made just an inch of progress on something. So I will definitely keep you in the loop and maybe post it on my website and on my Instagram, my Ravelry, my blog, and just keep you updated as to if I'm going to be able to post next week. I might go to every other week for posting, just so that there's more progress to see in the actual projects. And it gives me a little more time to possibly have some more art as well as some knitting or sewing for you. And so this week, I hope that you've been having a fantastic week in the past week here, and that this week you're going into is something that you're going to just really have an outstanding week, a fantastic finish to February We have a party that we're working on this coming weekend. We have a party, so we have a lot more planning to do this week. I have to make mini donuts and cookies, and so this week I'll be baking a little bit, but not any fancy new recipes to try. It's just something that I've already been working on, and I may post some pictures of my fancy little donuts. And so you can see how those are. I believe even in the past I've posted that on Facebook or Instagram. When we did our Christmas donuts was our first attempt at those. So we're going to be making those. They were a special request for the party. So we'll have all of that for you. And this week, I really hope you have a fabulous week. I hope that something inspires you this week and you're led to share with someone. I find that it's often best to be able to share some of the excitement and joy that you get from creating and crafting and share it with someone else. And, if it's someone that's not very appreciative, maybe find someone else. I know I've done that, been very excited about it. And then someone's not so excited to see what I'm doing and they're not feeling the love and excitement that I have. And then there's a little bit of a buzzkill and letdown. So I definitely encourage you to maybe have coffee with someone this week and just share a piece of yourself with them this week. Get to know them a little better, share your craft, share a common interest, share something, but reach out and touch someone this week and be that person that is there for them as well as you letting them be there for you. So be the best version of yourself you can be, and happy crafting, knitting, crocheting. Have a fabulous week. Happy crafting all week long. And I will touch base with you maybe next week. If not next week, then the following week. But spend the week being the best version of yourself you can be. Hugs.